Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan here today with the first video in our Pluto series, and we're going to start off with Pluto in the 7th house. So if you've been keeping up with the channel and you like the content that I put out, you can support me on a platform called coffee.com by buying me a coffee. The support that you provide me with will go into purchasing tools and equipment that I need to purchase in order to make these YouTube videos for you guys, as well as do birth chart readings. So let's get started. In the Pluto series, I want to talk as openly and as truthfully as I can about Pluto through each of the houses. And if you guys feel like there are issues that come up as you watch the video, things that you didn't realize yet that was going on within you, or things that you don't quite want to hear, it's your choice whether you want to continue watching the video or not. Because Pluto is always going to be that very unconscious part of us. Pluto is the most unconscious planet in our natal chart, along with the moon. I guess that's just a little warning. And I have made a Pluto introduction video. I recommend that you check that out first and then come back and watch this video so you can get a really holistic understanding of what Pluto really does in your chart, and that Pluto isn't as scary or as cruel as has been written out there with regards to Pluto in astrology, and how useful this planet really is for all of us. When Pluto is in the 7th house, your biggest transformation is coming through the confrontation or the exposure with your alter ego. So the alter ego is that part of us that we create. It's a new identity that we create when times get tough, when we're faced with circumstances and situations in which we feel we can't use who we already know ourselves to be in order to get through those situations. So we adopt another identity. Sometimes it's like, celebrities have alter egos, they have new names that they adopted to help them bring out a braver, courageous part of themselves. And sometimes the alter ego eventually becomes a part of you, becomes kind of like your heroic self. But at the start of the experience with the alter ego, it is a mask that we put on, or a facade, but it's a part of us. It's something that we have unconsciously that we put on as a mask and then we take off when we don't need it. But eventually when we become whole, it's like a mask that we blend with our face. We transform in that sense. Pluto being the darkest part of all of us, when the darkest planet in our chart falls into the house of attraction, one-to-one relationships, and committed relationships of all types. But ultimately, the 7th house is the house of the shadow. We have a planet of extreme darkness in the house of the shadow. So you're going to be forced to face certain confrontations in your relationships so that you can, well, first, take out your alter ego by facing a particular love interest or a partner or a business partner who is your alter ego, so that you can bring out that alter ego in order to confront that person. If you don't, you're going to fall in positions of being suppressed, being dominated by another person who has more force than you. So you have to take out, it's like a force. Pluto's like that unconscious force. You have to take out that alter ego. Whether that relationship's gonna last or not, hopefully, through the transformation process, that alter ego eventually becomes you. I'm sorry if you can hear some construction noises. They just are constructing on the day that I'm filming again. Must be my alter ego. So the way that this can play out is that when you're operating at the shadow frequency of this particular Pluto placement, you may feel this compulsion to be in a relationship with another person, all types of relationships, because the darkest part of you is something that you can't access without a relationship yet. Not saying it's something that's going to happen for the rest of your life, but at least when you're first kind of going on this Pluto journey, it's hard to access. But as we all know, darkness is very alluring because it's this mystery. Like, there's just something inside of you. It could be, you know, the way you want to express your sexuality. It could be the intimacy that you would like to really be seen. You would like to really share secrets with somebody that you feel is so hard to access without another person. The intimacy with yourself. So then there's going to be an obsession and a compulsion to be with a particular love interest, partner, any types of relationships, a long-term friendship can be, so that you can uncover these parts of yourself. So what this creates from the start is a relationship of need. If you've been, you know, in relationships that have ended in breakups, and you may have been experienced quite painful breakups, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's because those relationships are based on needs. And obsession and need is not love. Love is about giving. The unconscious way that Pluto is working is that it wants you to be in relationships not because you want to give. It's because you need something from a particular partner. You need a relationship so that you can discover and know more about yourself. This is a relationship of need. And this is when you're going to be faced with your alter ego. So what can happen is that when you get into the relationship, it's something that happens that you may be dependent on that particular partner's opinions, their feedback, their advice about you, or sometimes their knowledge about you, or about, you know, your journey in life, your career, or what it is that you're trying to do in your life, because you're wanting to know more about yourself through that person. So this creates this dependency on that particular choice of partners opinions and advice and knowledge. So when you do this, you are unconsciously forcing yourself to be in a position of submission to that particular partner that you're in a relationship with. And it can feel, and you know, there can be certain fears and threats that can come up, meaning that if you are not depending on that partner's advice, or if you're not following their advice or their opinions, your partner may actually threaten to leave, or they may even undergo forms of manipulation and control and even abuse, because they feel like you've already put them in a position, and they're unconsciously feeling this. They're feeling like you've already put them in a position of the leader of the relationship, the dominant one in the relationship. So why would you not listen to them? So over time, this Pluto placement can cause you to lose sight of your individuality, because you're needing to find that individuality always through relating with another person. So who are you without a relationship? Who are you without a partner? And this can be a cycle, meaning that, you know, this doesn't mean it's going to happen once, but it can keep happening until you fully transform into becoming your alter ego. The alter ego that you're seeing here is a partner who dominates over you, but actually you are the one who has dominated over them by being the inferior person, the person who needs the partner to be the stronger one. You see how it works? See how this is a projection? That you want to be the dominant one by being the one who is not dominant. But that still creates this loop of dependency. Because if you're not dominant, then your partner has to continue to be the more powerful, the more dominant one in the relationship. This will cause you to be a magnet for those who are powerful, for those who are willful, and they will be drawn to you to be in a relationship with you because they feel unconsciously that when they're in this relationship with you, they're going to get to have what they want. They're going to get to be able to exert their will as much as they want because, well, you're depending on them. So, two things can happen from this point onwards. The first thing that can happen is that the needs of the partner, of your partner, becomes your need without you realizing it. Meaning that, let's say your partner needs a particular sexual experience, it becomes your need. So now you have to obey to your partner's sexual wants and sexual needs, but maybe you actually also, this also may give you some amount of power because it's going to be your alter ego. These needs of your partner, they're ultimately your alter ego. So you try to adopt them. At first, it's because you need to cope with that situation because maybe if you don't respond to your partner's sexual needs, maybe they get aggressive, maybe they get violent. So then you have to take on that particular sexual self. This is an example. It can be with any area of life, but I'm just using sex here because, Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. So that's the first thing that can happen. The second thing that can happen is, I guess I already talked about this, is that you keep the other person around in this loop of dependency because you need them for advice. They need to be the one to be more powerful. You need them for advice. And so we go in this toxic loop of need. So if you're wondering why you've experienced really painful breakups in your life, it is because of the fact that once the needs are met, unconsciously, there's no need to be in this relationship anymore. Meaning that once you have discovered what your alter ego is, whether that is through having to stand up for yourself in the relationship, or whether that is through the advice or the feedback from your partner, that you finally figure out what your alter ego is, there's no need for you to stay in this relationship anymore. And sometimes it can be the other way around. That's how the seventh house works, meaning that your partner feels that their needs are fulfilled. So if one of you has fulfilled your needs, but the other hasn't yet, the one who has already had their needs fulfilled no longer feels this obsession or this compulsion to be in this relationship anymore. So that person is then gonna need to break away, ends the relationship. But the other person hasn't had their needs fulfilled yet. So the person who hasn't had their needs fulfilled can strongly feel hurt, feel pain. Because needs it's an instinctual part of us. It is like air, like food or water or air. Like we have to breathe that in. So that's why breakups can be very painful if you have Pluto in the seventh house. If you have Pluto in the seventh house and you've experienced a very painful breakup and you are saying that it's really painful because I love that person so much, really think about that. Did you really love them so much? Or is there a need that is not yet fulfilled? Ask yourself this. Get honest with yourself. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the transformation real soon, but I want to talk a little bit about what happens if Pluto is actually conjunct the Descendant in the seventh house. So it's like really close, and sometimes it's in the sixth house, but it's like really close to the Descendant. You may also feel this part, is that the intensity of the insecurity of the need, when you're not getting the needs met, the insecurity is going to creep up a lot more. And this can look a little bit like somebody who is trying to extract the alter ego out of their partners. If you have Pluto conjunct the Descendant, you've got great power, but you've also got a lot more insecurities when it comes to relationships. What it can look like when you're trying to extract the alter ego out of your partner is that you may get yourself into a situation where you feel like your partner is not being themselves in the relationship, whether they are or they're not. Sometimes your perception is right, sometimes your perception is not right if there's so much insecurity. Meaning that, let's say that your partner, wants to pursue a particular career. You may question them like very excessively and very deeply, because you want them to tell you the truth about why they really want this career, because maybe the career that they want, this is an example, makes you somehow feel insecure that they may be straying away from the relationship, or they may be straying away from giving you the love, the need, or the attention, or the feedback, the opinions that you need in order to fulfill to know more about yourself, to discover more about yourself, right? So you may try to extract their alter ego by asking them unnecessary questions and keep pushing, and sometimes using ways of manipulation that can be emotional manipulation. Sometimes this can be mental manipulation. Let's say that one of their colleagues, one of your partner's colleagues, and you say to your partner that, why do you want this job? Why do you want to do this particular job? And your partner gives you a reason. And then you tell them, well, that's not the reason, because you told your colleague something else, and I talked to your colleague. And then your partner's thinking, oh, wait, okay, so now my partner thinks I'm lying. But did I say this to my colleague? I don't remember. But maybe you haven't even talked to their colleagues at all. You simply made that up so that you can extract the truth out of your partner and getting them to tell you the truth, to be transparent. You feel like that's their alter ego. Now they have to be strong enough to be with me. Now they have to be loyal to be with me. They have to be transparent to be with me. That's an example of mental manipulation. Be careful how you work with this Pluto placement. All right, so we're going to get to the transformation of this. If you see these particular patterns happening in your relationships, you may consider doing some healing work with regards to any childhood traumas, because any behaviors that's been acting out of insecurities, as I mentioned throughout this video, it's not something that is it's your responsibility, but you don't have full control over it. That's why Pluto is controlling you. Pluto's hiding in the unconscious. That means that you don't have control over this Pluto, it's controlling you. So what you want to do is you want to bring it to the forefront of your face. You want to see it directly, and you want to see how you can be the one to control the Pluto so it doesn't control you, and you can have long, beautiful, lasting relationships in your life. What is it that was suppressed since you were young? What authentic parts of you, what parts of your self-expression, your genius with regards to the sign that Pluto is in, how did that get repressed when you were younger? Were you told to not look at this? Were you somehow threatened by a particular, parental figure or a friend while you were growing up, so that you just couldn't act on it and you had to, put it away in your unconscious mind? What is it? You may consider talking to a therapist about this, letting all of this out, tracing back your childhood. when you do this, and you've done the purging process that is required, and I talked about this purging process in my Pluto introduction video. Once you've done that, take yourself out of relationships for a bit. Be by yourself. Discover what it is that you really, what your needs really are, and how you can feed your needs without another person, so that you can give more fully in a relationship. If you need time alone, that's probably a part of who you are, and you need to be able to give that to yourself without trying to figure this out through these types of relationships, these dark relationships with another person. Of course, and if you have, that's perfectly fine. You're learning. We're all learning. We're all growing. We make mistakes. We all grow from that. We're discovering more about ourselves through relationships. Once you know what your hidden needs are, you can take those hidden needs, and sometimes, these needs will be reflected in these types of more intense relationships that you have. You take those pains, you trace the pain back to where it's coming from in your childhood, and then you make it a part of your lightness. You empower yourself through all that pain. So, for example, if through a particular painful relationship, let's say that you faced, let's say the mental manipulation, right? Let's say you faced some kind of mental manipulation from your partner. Maybe you take this as a lesson into whether you have been honest. Are you a really honest person? Are you having integrity with your words? Maybe you do, but maybe you can be even more honest and more truthful in the things that you say and the things that you do. And then you can trace back to your childhood and see, was saying the truth something that was repressed within me? Did my parents want me to always fit into the society, so I can't voice what I really think and feel, and therefore I'm having to face my alter ego through that relationship, heal from that, and then you can come out, spend some time alone, make honesty and being truthful a part of who you are, and then you know that what you need in a relationship now is to voice your truth, is to speak openly, and you need a partner who's going to do that too. And if you're in a next relationship after all this healing and you find that the partner that you are with doesn't quite meet what you need, let that relationship go. Don't fall back into any types of try to change your partner through forms of manipulation, because you've solidified your needs. You know what it is. If they don't have it, you can let that go. If they have it, then you got something pretty good going on there, and you don't need to figure out this need through that person. You can be one of the most giving people in all of the Pluto houses. This is one of the most giving places, because Pluto is enlightenment, like I said in my introduction video, that nothing is really going to shatter your insecurity in relationships anymore, because you're solid in who you are, what your boundaries are, what your needs are. You don't need to be in codependent relationships. You have a live and let live, surrender type of an attitude. If they got what I need, if they haven't crossed my boundaries, we're in this. I'm going to give you everything that I can give you, because when I know what my needs are, I also know what your needs are, and I can give to you. If the partner is toxic, if you're toxic, if there's manipulation, if they don't have what you need and you find yourself trying to extract that out of them, trying to change them, let that relationship go. It doesn't need to live. Don't be codependent. This puts you in a position of being able to have that balanced relationship where both parties are going to be giving to each other. Because what happens if you've done the healing is that you're going to draw partners to you who are going to be simple, not in a shallow way. Simple is not shallow, and intensity is not deep. They've got nothing to do with each other. you will draw people who are honest, who are loyal, who are transparent, and it's gonna feel like an enlightened relationship. It's a relationship where you and your partner are both whole in yourself, and therefore you can give, and therefore we have real love. So that's my take on Pluto in the 7th house. If you have this placement, do comment below and let us know what your experiences have been. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you already subscribed, then thank you very much for coming along. I do birth chart readings, synastry, and relationship readings. All the information is on my website. You can check that out. And I didn't mean to offend any of you guys out there. I just want to be as honest and as transparent and as truthful as possible in my videos in these Pluto series, because that's the way Pluto works, guys. All right, we'll see you soon then, beautiful souls. Bye.